All right, Sedge, we're back here at our box. What are we doing today?
Aha! Let's look inside. So, there is a variety of ways of making shelves, and what we're going to do is, this is a floating shelf. In other words, I've heard adjustable shelves, but you gotta compensate. And through the course of this video, I'm gonna show you how to put a drop edge on here with the Domino, how to make sure it's perfectly flush. Okay, we're gonna create a round over. We'll sand it, but we'll make it a little bit larger. And we'll do our final dimensions to get that perfect fit for that shelf.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
This is a shelf from one of the libraries in the house. I just took stock material. You'll see it's thin. This one's a little bit thicker, but you can buy stock moldings from one of the big boxes. And I tacked this on with a little bit of glue. Okay, and some micro pins. 23 gauge micro pins. Now this one is a nice decorative edge here. I created this profile on this cherry shelf. Oh wow! Quite a few years ago. I'll show you how to do that on a router table eventually. But we joined them with what? With dominoes, and that's what we're gonna do today. Now you're gonna ask, why not just this? Okay. Well, when we calculate the width here, we also have to think about what's going in the cabinet.
Right.
Okay. Now, the longer the shelf, okay, the longer the shelf, you have to calculate for sag. Okay, now,
Did you just
I
say
know
sag?
you're laughing. I know you guys are laughing.
I'm 12 years old, of course I'm laughing.
There's a reference that I found out, I don't know how, I think it was created in 1999. Okay, and it's called, you'll see right here, the Sagulator. This is a website. If you type in Sagulator, it'll take you to a website called Woodbin. There's all kinds of great references on this site. It's just kind of I found this from happenstance on the web. I think I saw it in some forum, and I said, the Sagulator, but I have used this hundreds of times over the years, because say this is 36 or 36 inches. Let's just use inches for this, okay? And say you make it out of 1/2 inch material, and you put 50 pounds of weight in there. Over time, it'll start to sag if you don't create what I call a beam. Okay, this front edge, you could put it actually in the middle here and make an I-beam with it.
Sure.
That helps make it stiffer, so you have less sag. Okay. So, all right.
Sagulator.
So when I did this this morning, okay, and it's really cool because if you put in what we're using, plywood, fir, okay, it has maybe 50 different types of material. Okay, you could put it in either pounds or kilograms. I just chose 50 pounds. Okay, I did a total weight. You can do it in per foot or per millimeter, 305 millimeter. Okay, is it a uniform load or is this center load? But my shelf span in the end is going to be 730 millimeters. The depth is going to be 275 millimeters. Okay, overall. And the thickness of my plywood is 18 millimeters. And I just said it was sugar maple for the front edge that we're going to be doing. Okay, it's going to be 30 millimeters wide to do the drop edge, and the thickness is 18 millimeters. So it computes, and you hit compute sag, and it says it's acceptable. Now I also did this with the increments without the drop edge, and it was it listed borderline with this, but I put in not 50 pounds because I'm not going to put 50 pounds worth of books in here or whatever I'm going to put in here. So I calculated 30 pounds, and it was acceptable if we just use this one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there's all kinds of different ways and to look at this, but the key to understanding, if you're building a bookcase, it ranges, the loads are usually 30 to 50, 60 pounds.
Okay.
So you got to calculate that, and a lot of people might have put a center panel in here and have a shorter span shelf if you want, if it's going to be some heavy load. So there's all kinds of calculations you're going to do. This is a free website. Go on it, support it. So what we're doing is, I'm just doing a little bit of layup. or layout of where we're gonna place the dominoes. So I just changed the bit. We're gonna use a 5 by 30. What's half of 30?
15.
You're the man. So we're gonna plunge 15 and 15 into each side. So we're gonna set our depth here.
Okay.
I already have, see that?
Boom.
Okay, now, what's important on this is, remember I said we're gonna cut a little oversized and then trim to fit in the end. Okay? So you gotta take that in consideration. No one will see if the domino's exposed because it'll be a shelf, but I always make sure that I place, like, I cut this at 800. I know it's overkill, but it'll give us plenty of trimming and we'll have fun doing it. The overall length is gonna be 730 millimeter.
Yep.
So what I did is, everybody wants to know where spacing is. I'm gonna be using my eyes on this, or we're gonna be using our eyes, and I just brought it in 50 millimeters from each side, because we're gonna trim each side, so we have plenty of room for mistakes. Okay.
Not that we ever make those.
I put one in the center, and I put one kind of in the center there. So I'm putting, what, 5 dominoes in here?
Sure.
Okay, but there's a really cool trick I'm gonna show you in a minute. I'm just gonna take this so we have good layout lines. Okay, I'm just gonna scribe them here. We'll scribe it here across the joint. And you're gonna see how I've shimmed it. I've actually taken some 10 millimeter dominoes, because that was my offset, the difference between 30 and basically 20 millimeters. So you'll see how I just shimmed it with some dominoes to get it even so I could get my scribe lines right. I'm also gonna do this. Remember when I say, we could do these all loose, it doesn't matter. Okay, in the middle setting. But what I like to do is I always like to choose it like this. This is gonna be tight, and this side's gonna be loose. I may do that for every joint, but we're gonna do these tight. These all be loose. All right, it's just something that I'm used to doing.
Okay.
It'll give us plenty of leeway.
Sure.
So when we put this on, we know we can put it on and they're not like all over the place, and we still have that play to get it right. Now, the other thing I wanna mention is this plywood. I always give myself wiggle room. I'm gonna show you how to shim the domino gauge right here when we get going.
Okay.
Okay, I'll show you how to shim that. In other words, this has undulations in it, and you don't want to keep them like, we're going to plunge, we're going to set this one right here to do the plywood. We're going to set it at 20, and I'll write that here. My plate height is 20. Okay, now when we do this hardwood edge right here, we're going to take it and we're going to bring it to 22. That'll give us a 1 millimeter offset, and after the glue dries, we'll hit it with a hand plane and cabinet scraper.
Oh, cabinet scraper.
That way there, we compensate for undulations in the plywood and maybe some undulations in that ripped piece of wood. What we're gonna do is we're gonna check the machine. Yep. We already checked the bit on there before you start it.
Yep.
Okay. We're gonna check our plate height. It's at 20, right? Because this is, and look, we've labeled it right here on the board. Now, we have to switch it to the middle setting. So what do you gotta do first?
Crank it on.
Go ahead and turn it on. Okay, good. So there you go. We have our plunge depth set at 15.
Yes, sir.
And what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure it's loose, so you're just gonna eyeball and do every one of these, okay?
All right.
It's that simple.
That's simple, everybody.
And remember the 4 laws. Let's do it. Best mortise ever.
Like butter. All right, we got these done. What's next?
Okay, so we got to do this small piece, and we got to balance the plate on this narrow form here. It's 18 millimeter. Okay, so a couple of things. You want it very well supported, and this is going to be a little bit different than what we've done before, where we are going to work on the table.
Oh.
But the plate will still put the base above the plane of the table.
Okay.
So what I did is I put a couple dogs in here, clamping element. And remember, we have to set this. We did this one at 20.
Yep.
And the plate height for this one is 22.
Whoa.
Okay, and the other thing we gotta do is we're gonna do all these tight. And I'm just going to move this clamping element over here. Come on, Big D, it's your turn. I can't have all the fun, bro. You just have to make sure that that plate is dead flat on that narrow stack, narrow stock.
Wow, that's a fun little challenge, isn't it?
Yep, but sometimes I just put my thumb right there. There you go. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a quick dry fit. Remember, always a dry fit. And make sure if you are going to pound the dominoes in, okay, and I always put them in the tight first. That way there's not a lot of movement. I just bring it right over here like this. And these clamping elements are wonderful because I can put that in here. And see how it's balanced?
Yep.
Okay, so look, this is our face. This was our face here. And you got that wiggle room, always, always, D. Feel that?
Oh, nice.
Feel that? Perfect. And now we have that little wiggle room in there. See how it's proud? I can just and knock it over.
Looks good. Oh, get the feeler gauges out.
But here we go. Yeah. But always, always, always dry fit.
All right, so what's next, Sedge?
All right, so just in time for March Madness, I got my Hoosier 5-gallon bucket. Okay, I'll say this every single time. We're gonna go into a glue up. I know this is just one shelf, okay, and one drop edge, but look at what we have. We have a wet rag.
Yep.
Okay, for cleanup, we got our glue, we got our layout board, we got our dead blow hammer, and we got our clamps already prepped.
Ready to go.
Okay, always have a clean area ready to go, because you don't want to, and I use Type Bond 3 because it has a long open time. So let's get gluing up. Remember,
gluing up.
Just lay some glue out like this, and we're gonna butter them up. Just like this. Okay, good. And you're in, and I'll have you do that.
Okay.
So there you go. What we're gonna do now, it's because this is long grain, okay? And in essence, the way plywood's laid up, its grain goes like this, one sheet goes like this, and the core goes like this.
Okay.
So there's some long grain in here.
Good.
So we're gonna put some glue on there.
Okay.
Let me just get my clamping elements in. So here's another tip. Somebody called this out in a video recently. I thought it was kind of cool. I'm just gonna lay that out like that, right?
Yep.
And then what we're gonna do? Easy, easy. Use our hotel card as a spreader.
With the freaking Domino.
And you get a nice, easy, does it really?
Yeah,
that's awesome, okay? And I'll just scrape that really quick. We're gonna sand that and scrape it. That's off to the side. And the other thing I'll do, D, is depending on how many of these I got, I just do a little extra on there because as we put them in the mortise, that'll wick to the adjacent surface.
Right.
Some of it has come down because of gravity, so I'll just come in here and grab it and bring it up on the domino again.
All right.
Just like that. Just like that, and like that.
It's an anti-gravity glue up.
Okay, so remember, it's this side here.
Yeah.
We'll get it in there like this, bring it right in. It's not rocket science. Okay, you gotta be careful now because that domino going in has 3 millimeters of play. Mm-hmm. And if I go like this and they're really tight, if I jam it too much, it could pop up.
Oh geez.
So there's sometimes I'll take an additional piece of wood like this to support it and just bring it in before we hit the clamps like this. So it seats right and you don't have blow through. And I'll just check that edge and that edge. I'll knock it here a little bit and let's get the clamps in. So that's pretty easy. We just take it like this, and what I'll do is I'll create, because I want to watch that front edge to make sure it all comes in. So I'll grab it like this, and as I bring it in, I want to see that glue line come in nice. So what I'll do is I think I'm going to do it like this. Okay, let's get that in. Let's get another one in. Let's clean up our area, nice and easy. Beautiful. I love messy clamps. Did I ever tell you that? Okay, and then sometimes I'll even bring it in like this. So you'll start to see how this nice and even edge comes in.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I'm actually gonna, let's do that end. Okay. I'll actually do it like this sometimes. because I want that front edge look just like this. See how I'm getting the consistent glue?
Yeah.
I got consistent glue all the way to the edge, just like this. See, that's what I'm looking for. See the consistent glue line?
Got it.
All that glue is popping out. It's consistent. That way there I don't have any space.
Nice.
On this one, I'll do the exact same thing. I'll just rework it. So I have that consistent glue all the way through. And you're gonna see it all pop. See, look.
There it is, coming right up.
Yep, all the way through. Nice and easy.
Easy peasy, baby.
Just a little starved in there, but you got nice glue up. Okay, now, the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my card and maybe scrape a little of that glue out like this. Scrape a little out like this. Scrape a little out like this. Okay, and then just wipe it with a rag. Remember, it's a very well wrung out rag because you don't want all that water getting in there.
No.
Okay, and then I'll flip it up just like this. I'll turn it around so you can see this. All right, wipe my card, and I'll come in here and just drag that up and wipe it clean.
Perfect.
There you go. And there you go. The only thing we got to do is wait for the glue to dry.
All right.
A few moments later.
So, the glue is dry, it's cured. Let's get them out of the clamps.
Let's do it. Boom. How are we looking?
Good, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it over to the bench and we're gonna take the profile and make it even with the top of the shelf.
Oh, okay. Can see the feel it.
So it kind of blends in with everything. But there's a lot of little tips and tricks I can show you on this. So let's head over.
All right, let's do it.
There's a variety of ways that you can take this drop edge and flush it with the deck here of the shelf. And I'm going to tell you right now, this can be a very difficult / delicate operation. What you have to do is we have to even it, flush it, but you got to remember that this plywood has a very thin veneer. In other words, if we just started sanding this, which a lot of people do, you can take it right down and you'll see you'll get it'll burn away the veneer. So you got to be very good. So there's a few things I'm going to do with this. We're going to start with a hand plane, and then we're going to finish up with a card scraper, and then we'll sand it. Okay.
Sounds
and there's
good.
a lot of little tips and tricks I can show you on that. But first, I got this 4.5 Lee Nielsen bench plane, and what I want to do is I want to just give you a couple of techniques to use this.
Okay.
In other words, let me just show you this. I'm going to take it like this, okay? Hold it like this. I want to take a shaving, and when I take a shaving like this is how you creep up to flush it. It's very thin.
Okay.
Okay, and that's what we want to do. And also I'm going to have you practice, and what I always have here in my tool area is I always have wax. It makes it go a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you come over here and take a couple practice swipes on this piece. Okay.
So I got my trigger finger out.
Yep, and you got 3 fingers in the toe.
Yep.
We'll go over a lot of hand planes in the future, okay? So your pressure's here,
Okay.
okay? Until you get to the end and your pressure becomes
In the back.
on the back, okay?
Okay.
So just there you go. Okay, yep, you'll get it. Okay, so you remember I told you it's all about positioning. Mm-hmm. Okay, watch. You're going like this, okay? What you want to do is you want to get right in here like this and shoot it, okay? And go with it.
Put my hip into it.
Yeah, just like this, watch. Okay, so you get a full shaving. So get right in here.
Okay.
And you don't have to look down. There you go. Okay. Hey,
That's
Big
money,
D.
dude.
There you go. Okay, couple more swipes. There you go. There you go.
All right.
Okay, now feel that. That's called a faceted edge.
Ooh.
Not an abraded, where you abrade that with sandpaper. And look at the shavings you get. And you always want to look, sometimes it's usually the full length, and you're pretty close. What you want to do is, you see this right here? This is some glue squeeze out.
Yep.
What I like to do is take a cabinet scraper and just get that out, and then I'll come right in here like this and scrape some of that out. We'll finish that up with a card scraper. So what you want to do is, I always do this. This is a tip I learned early on. okay, I draw a pencil mark in here. Because when I start cutting into that pencil mark, I know to back off.
Oh.
Or we're not even gonna get down that far. We'll start scraping it beforehand, okay?
Cool.
It's just a quick reference mark. So I'm gonna take a couple of swipes, okay? And you know what I'm getting right there, right? See how it's all broken up? I'm actually getting the saw blade marks out of there.
Oh, nice.
Okay, and then I'll start to see a full cut. See that?
Looking better already.
And oh yeah,
You feel it. Oh
yep,
yeah.
you're starting to get
closer.
there. Yeah, it's coming down. Got some wacky grain down there, but that's okay. And then what I'll do is I'll come here and I'll start feeling. Okay, it's high there. You know what? It's pretty even. Feel this here. See how I'm getting close? I'm going to be careful not to cut there. I'm going to bring it up in here. I'm getting pretty close. You're always analyzing where you're cutting, okay? But I'm not breaking in. See, it's so easy to burn through that top veneer, so you just want to be careful.
Slow and steady.
Yep.
All right.
You want to take a couple swipes?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, let's look. Okay. Give me a second. That's good. We just took that down the hand plane. You feel.
Oh, wow.
And you'll just see it's basically, yeah, you see it's the pencil mark. There's some glue there. Squeeze out, there's that squeeze out there. But we haven't burned through the veneer.
That's good.
Yeah, so, and by the way, it's you can do it really quick. That's why we're gonna go to a card scraper now. This is the one, remember the first video we ever did?
Yep.
You put a burr on this perfectly. Boy, there's a lot of technique on using hand scraper. I can't look at them. Okay, so what I want to do is I want you to practice a little with me.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
You see these marks here, right? This is what I want you to practice on. We're gonna sand this, okay? But you see how that just comes off like that?
Wow.
Okay, boy, you did a really good job with that, okay? Okay, and I want you to practice, okay?
Okay.
Your fingers are like this, and they're like this, and you're just gonna take this, and you're gonna scrape. So you can practice. Now, the thing is don't scrape too much, but just start removing some of these pencil marks before you start hitting this edge.
Okay.
Okay, and you bend it a little.
Yep.
Yep, good. See, you got it. By the way, that's absolutely perfect. So come in here a little bit. Good. Okay, once you come, yeah, perfect, D. Perfect, okay. Yep. Okay, now I'm gonna start over here.
Okay.
Okay, and you're gonna see this. And there's a little technique. You see this right here? I'm noticing there's a little tear out here. I might have to attack this in a different direction. Okay?
Wow.
But we're gonna be putting a round over on here. But you see what I'm losing?
Yep.
The pencil mark.
Which is a good reference.
Yep.
Let you know.
And you're gonna see how it evens right up. And that's how we crept to the line.
Wow.
See how
That's
that just
amazing.
is? Now I'm gonna come from this angle just to finish this off this way.
Wow.
It is wow, dude. It is. Nice and easy. Dude, you got it. Keep going. Okay, now come in here and get this a little bit.
Okay.
Good. Come back in here.
Okay.
Remove that pencil mark. Yep,
Okay.
good. Okay, now, see, you know what you just did? Feel this. Okay, feel that. Now come over here. Feel that. See how it's a little rougher?
Yeah.
And see, you're starting to see some figure come through here? So what I want you to do, just to save time, in sanding, I want you to come scrape this right here, those
Okay.
pencil marks off.
Just so go.
Same
long
thing.
way? Okay.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Now I'd be willing to bet that some of those pencil marks we're going to be cutting off when we trim this. Okay. So there you go. It's even. I like it.
Yeah.
So what we'll do now is we'll throw a little profile on there.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
So what we're going to do now is I just chucked up a round over bit. And Big D, I'm just going to have you just do a quick round over on this so you remember how to use this. So let's do it.
Got it.
You know which way you're going.
Sure.
Yep. There you go.
I want to make sure I'm in there.
Yep. good job. Let's get a quick sand on this and cut the final dimension.
Sounds good.
I want to teach you another technique. Feel that edge right there. Okay, see how it's wicked sharp? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I want to do is I just want it, we call it breaking an edge. And there's a variety of ways to do it. A lot of people hit it with sandpaper. I don't know why, but I love using a hand plane because it's wicked quick. And I just take it like this and you'll see that little shaving come off? Wow. It's a little block plane. And you'll see how that develops just a slight chamfer. Now feel that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what I'm gonna have you do is I'm gonna have you come over here. Okay. Okay, and you're just gonna take it like this, and you're gonna run it. See that little wisp coming off? Okay, just like that. So I'm gonna have you do that side.
Okay.
Start at the very end, and just go. It almost feels like it's not cutting. Right? See that wisp coming out of there?
Yeah.
That's all it is. And what you're gonna do is you're just gonna repeat it, because now, believe it or not, your mind will grab that little facet there. Do another one. See how it's a little bit thicker now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So there you go. Do one more.
Okay.
Okay, so here's where it gets fun. So what you've done is you've developed something like this. Let's look at this edge. It looks like this now, look. It's got what is known as a chamfer. Okay? Mm-hmm. So let me show you a little bit of a technique that I've learned. Okay, I do this now. I take it and there's this little edge right here. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna take that off really quick. Okay, and then I'm gonna come down and hit this other edge, and guess what I got? I got a little round over.
Oh wow!
Feel that?
Yeah, you do.
That's how and it's just a consistent way of doing things. Okay, Big D, get out your pencil.
Pencil is out.
Okay, good. So let's talk about final dimensions. When we built this cabinet, we know the top and bottom is 732 millimeter. Okay, we're not going to cut our shelf to length at 732. Okay, because it'll be too tight a fit. Gotcha. You want to give it a little, as I say, a little yaw to put in. So what I'm going to do is we'll set it and write 731. Give it a millimeter. If it's still too tight, we'll take a skosh off of that.
All right.
Okay, now here's the critical measurement. We know that the width of the cabinet, the depth of the cabinet is 300 millimeters. Mm-hmm. Okay, but that's not the size of this. No. We started with a 300 millimeter cutoff. Mm-hmm. Okay, but let's take a measurement because we've added this 18 millimeter. So that's why I don't like to dimension it until the other end. I don't like to rip it to depth. So we're gonna cut this at 270 millimeters, or we're gonna rip it at 270. That way there, we give, it's probably will be about a 5 millimeter back set. Okay. Okay, so here's the other critical part. We measure from this front edge and cut. We don't measure from the back edge. Okay. All right. Now we're gonna cross cut the length. We divided it, we put a center line here. Yep. Okay, and measured outwards so we have an even cut off of each end. And it's pretty simple. I just made a couple of marks here. I lined up my guide rail. Now, the thing you gotta make sure of is you give the extra depth for right here, the drop edge. Right, so here we go, and it's pretty simple. Let me just get it on those lines. There you go. Wow. Wow, that's about the best cut I've ever seen. Before we rip to fit, or rip for depth, let's just see if this is gonna fit the way we want it. Look at this.
That'll do, man.
I think that's perfect. You don't have a lot of movement. Yeah. Okay, so do you remember the measurement we needed? So what was it to rip to width?
I think it's 270.
Let's check. There it is, it's a 270 rip. So let's take it over here and do a quick measurement. We have this drop edge right here, right? Yep. In our measuring and marking, we're talking about what our measuring tool is gonna be. This is where I'll use a tape over a folding rule, because now I have this to go down in front.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'll mark it 270 here,
270, baby.
right there, and I'll have you mark it 270 down here, Big D. Because you don't want to mark it from the top of the round over.
Right.
Okay, or the profile, whatever you have. 270 millimeter. Good job. So let's get the guide rail.
Bam.
Okay, so let me show you a tip.
Show it. Oh, look at this guy.
Remember these pieces you just cut off?
Kidding me?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, you like that, don't you, Chris?
That was smooth. I gotta remember that
You
one.
like that, don't you? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we gotta adjust the depth now of the saw.
Okay.
We gotta cut with that, just that amount.
Okay.
We'll just take it over here and we'll rip it.
Let's do it.
Sound good?
Yes, sir.
Boom, baby. Big D, I'm gonna have you put your new shelf in there.
All right, let's do it. Do. I break it in.
Tilt it.
Oh, gotta use the yaw. That's right.
That's it.
Oh wow.
Look at that.
I mean, that's a mighty fine shelf.
Okay, so that's how you make a shelf. Let's open up the cabinet doors, and you'll see it's just a simple process, but we do have that clearance in there, which is about 5 millimeters. We're tight here. We took off about 1 millimeter. That gives you the ability to tilt it in. You got a nice solid shelf there. So there you go.
We compensated for the sagulator.
That's it. So there you go. And as we always end these,
Be positive.
stay sharp.